So thank you very much for them, and it is a privilege to be addressing you all this afternoon, and I'm very pleased that the wonderfully named SPICE is doing so much to promote India Week here at the LSE. My topic today deals with the rise of India and China in the world, two countries whose development would have a significant impact on the global system and on the world's sense of where international economic and political power will shift in the decades to come. And the question we must consider is whether the two countries will compete, cooperate, or even enter into conflict. Of course, both China and India are extraordinary success stories of recent years. Both have multiplied their per capita income many times over since 1950, and have done so far faster in recent years than Britain or the US did during their spurt of growth after the Industrial Revolution. The idea that both China and India could even triple their current economies in the next 15 years is not implausible to most economists, not even to the World Bank in their annual assessment of global economic prospects is any guide. Now, I'm not an economist, I say this consciously at LSE. I've always been profoundly skeptical of those who issue forecasts of any sort, as to me the future is never quite what it used to be. But few will disagree that China and India are going to be richer than they are now, both in absolute terms and in relative ones. And that's why it's meaningful to speak of an increasing shift of economic and, as a result, of political power, and to ask how these two countries, which fought in a short but brutal war just 46 years ago, will deal with each other in the process. Now, China and India are the two most populous countries in the world, with India set to overtake China, according to the UN, in 2034, to become #1, at least in one category. They account together for nearly a tenth of global GDP, a fifth of world exports, and a sixth of all international capital flows. China and India are the world's second and fifth largest economies in purchasing power parity terms. They both, of course, continue to grow. China holds by far the largest foreign currency reserves in the world, at some $2 trillion. Half of that is held in US paper. So if it pulled its money out of the US Treasury, it could probably in one stroke destroy much of the US economy, which would also involve some considerable cost to itself, so I'm sure it won't do it. But it reflects how much economic power in the world has already changed. We can say with some confidence that India and China will continue to prosper and will pull more millions out of poverty than they've ever done before, that they will compete effectively with Western corporations for business, purchase foreign companies and assets, expand their trade and overseas investments, invent and develop new technologies, and displace more economic weight around the world. And as a result, they will inevitably demand more authority in the international system, and I believe they will acquire it. China will, in my view, be the country that strips the US of its current designation of being the world's sole superpower. I think that adjective is not going to survive another generation. India will not stride the global stage to quite that extent, but it will be a significant player in its own region, and through the attraction of its soft power, it will be hugely influential beyond its borders. Neither will be, nor has it been for some time, a big player on the world stage. Now, both countries are also currently expanding their hard power. China's military budget has been increasing by a staggering 17 to 18% each year since 2007. It has launched an unmanned space orbiter and announced a major expansion of its naval and submarine fleets. India is behind, but it's heading broadly in the same direction, expanding its defense and space capabilities. Still, I should stress both countries together will have a long way to go before they can compete with the US, whose defense budget is currently equal to that of the rest of the world together. Now, according to the experts at Goldman Sachs, China is likely to overtake the United States as the world's largest economy by the late 2020s. Not everyone agrees with that, but that's a forecast that's out there, with India closing in behind them. But let us remember that this would merely be a partial reversion to a historical state of affairs. The economic historian Angus Madison, who I think had something to do with LSE, has told us that back in 1820,